All right, what's up, everyone? Silver Slurpee. Thanks for joining us where nerds come to chill. I'm joined by the Mustache Man and Skinny Nerd, and pretty big day in comics with Superman, Spider-Man um, coming out, and prior to that, we had the Batman Deadpool um, one shot, which came out like 4 months ago now, or so.
September, I think,
Yeah,
was.
so and prior to that, the two companies, DC and Marvel, hadn't really worked together in like over 20 years. So pretty big, pretty cool. Obviously, lots of covers. Mustache Man, you probably remember better than I would, but were the Batman Deadpools like $9 a pop?
They were. I Gosh, I'm usually good with the prices. I don't know if they were the same. Marvel is usually more expensive than DC. DC is usually a dollar less. But I felt the sting more buying these ones than I did buying Deadpool and Batman. So I don't, and Batman, Deadpool respectively. But I felt the sting more with these. But also there were 26, so it truly was like an A through Z in terms of covers. But I don't know. I'd have to look back. Yeah. And I'd be interested. Do you know when? Sorry, real quick. Do you know when uh, Spider-Man Deadpool is coming out? Do you know when Marvel's side of the aisle is coming out? I
I
haven't even
believe it's
thought
supposed
about
to
it or
be
heard.
next month in April.
Oh, okay.
And I don't know how many. I don't know. I feel like that's probably going to be another massive 20 issue or 20 cover run.
And a
Um,
lot of these guys too were involved in Deadpool, Batman, and Batman Deadpool too.
yes,
So they're just getting put through the ringer.
absolutely. It's been insane. And I think I agree. I thought this one was way more expensive than the Batman Deadpool. And I don't know if that was just because of the cover price alone or the fact that I bought 13 of them.
Oh, but oh,
That might have a little bit to do with it.
probably.
I think I only bought like 5 or 6 of the Batman Deadpools. Um,
I'll stick to my $4 indie comics.
And I feel like I did the opposite, Silver Slippery. I feel like I bought like 10 of Batman Deadpool, and only like three of this run. So maybe I was kind of wiped out in September and October, but
yeah,
I bought a ton then and not as many now.
yeah. Do you have a favorite of the? Did you get any of the Superman Spider-Mans?
Yeah, I got three, and I order exclusively online through Warlock Comics, so I'm not going to get mine until Saturday, more than
Shout
likely.
out Warlock Comics.
Um, but shut up. What's up? I bought three. Obviously, I have the Jorge Jimenez. Right, he's the one that does it. Yeah, love it. And the one that we've been talking about, and I can't remember who draws it, but oh, yeah, got that one.
I knew
If
you were gonna
there
get
was,
that one.
yeah, that's probably my top five cover of the year. I just absolutely love that cover, and I'm so glad that they did that. Oh yeah, show it to the crowd, show it to the crowd. And then one of my favorite cover artists recently has been killing it is David Nakayama,
Yep,
DNA for short.
yep.
I I love his retro feel. Yeah. Oh my gosh. I
I
love his retro style and his take on these characters. And he's literally done like a retro DNA cover probably every week for the last 20 weeks, and it's been a lot of fun to see.
it's
Those are
amazingly cool, and I think one of the most impressive things that he does is like he makes the background the same as the color of the character, and he makes it work so well. The characters look so good; they still pop. I mean, obviously Superman blends in a little bit more than Spider-Man, but still looks great. And he's done this with so many characters now. I was looking earlier today, like he's done it with fire, with like a green background, like you name it, whatever character he's done, whatever color they are. I think he's done Hulk with a green background, all sorts of characters, and he makes it work really well. You wouldn't think that Superman on an exact same blue background would work, but it looks great.
well, he picked
He,
the
he,
right characters for it. You couldn't make that work with I think any version of the Batman suit, even like the older kind of blue and gray, just because of the style of Batman. But you pick characters that have these bright, vibrant colors, and you build off that.
Yeah, and I think obviously like kind of the thicker lines on the outside of the characters and stuff really helps make them pop, but it really works and it looks great. Um,
His My favorite cover that he's done this year is the Sorcerer Supreme #3, I think, and it's with Wanda Maximoff as the Sorcerer Supreme, and it's just the classic red suit, like Silver Age Wanda Maximoff. It is so cool. I gave it away to a friend, and then I bought another copy just because I had to
you
have
did.
that cover. Yeah,
Um, so we'll just kind of go. I guess we've already gone through three of them. We'll go through
Oh
some
yeah, that's a
others.
good looking cover.
That's the J. Scott Campbell cover.
I knew you were going to get that one.
Oh,
I knew it.
nice. Um, I'm blanking on who did all of these covers, so bear with me if I don't remember
There's so many.
everyone's names because I got so many of them. This one's got Power Girl and Black Cat. Pretty cool.
And Power Girl's in this issue, right?
Yes.
With somebody else. I
She's in
can't
the
remember
last
who it is.
story with Punisher.
With Punisher.
Very
Sick.
unlikely duo, but
Yeah.
it was pretty good, pretty funny. Really enjoyed that. They kind of cap off the end of the issue.
Cool.
These two are also in it. Got
Very nice.
Superboy Prime, and he's punching through realities. Got Jim Lee, Superman, Spider-Man. I will say the only thing about the Jim Lee one, Spider-Man's hand is almost a little too crazy. Like it looks like he's got like a dislocated finger.
I don't know what to do with my hands.
Little crazy on the hands. And then I believe this.
Hey guys, listen, hands are hard to draw.
Yeah. Well,
but if anyone can do it, he can do it.
It looks literally
the other Jorge Jimenez cover. This is the wraparound.
Wraparound. Nice.
Also very cool.
Jim Lee's cover looked like a Jim Lee cover, but at the same time didn't. I don't know if you get what I mean.
Yeah.
It felt familiar, but not familiar at the same time. It felt different than what he's.
I feel like Spider-Man just makes it almost feel.
And when has he ever drawn Spider-Man? Right? Like never.
Yeah, other than like
I know he's
convention from time to time or whatever when someone requests it. I feel like
he was with Marvel for a little bit of time, but it's mostly been DC.
Yeah, and his time in Marvel was obviously heavily spent with X-Men.
Yeah.
Some other stuff, but we'll kind of fly through some of these other ones. Also a very cool cover. Liked that one a lot. This is another wraparound, and I think this is up there for one of my favorites. The back
Very
is
nice.
really cool. There's a lot going on. Tons of Superman and Spider-Man, allies and villains. It's freaking crazy. There's Power Girl, there's Cyborg Superman, Doc Ock's in here. Freaking everyone you can think of. So it's really
Well, they only published the front too. I had no idea that back existed, so I haven't seen it. Those wraparounds are tough. I wish they would do that. I wish they'd show that because it would. I'd be more inclined to buy it if they showed the back.
Yep, and that was the final one that I got. But so if they did 26, I got half.
It's always interesting to me that they always, when they've done this crossover a couple of times now. It's interesting to me that they always do Spider-Man and Superman versus Superman and Captain America. Because I feel like if you were to take two characters that are most kind of similar, I honestly feel like almost Superman Cap would actually be a better fit personality wise.
Do you think it's better fit that they're looking for, or do you think it's the top 4 superheroes that make money? All right.
That's a valid point. That's a very valid point.
Batman and Spider-Man are top 2 all day long. You have to throw Superman in there, and Deadpool is trending over the last 10 years.
I was going to say, I feel like the Batman Deadpool is kind of a odd pairing.
Yeah, it's a classic buddy cop where they don't get along. They're on different sides of the aisle, and that's what makes it fun. I really enjoyed it, and I didn't think I would.
Yeah.
To be clear, I don't dislike the Superman Spider-Man pairing, but I feel like you kind of fall characterization wise, you fall into kind of this weird spot where they're similar enough that you don't have to have them like learn about each other, but they're also too different to like be like super have like super good chemistry, you know? Like
Yeah.
I feel like you put Cap and Superman together, they're on the same page. You get that chemistry of two people who basically have some incredibly tight similar personality traits. And then Batman Deadpool, you get the
Complete
absolute
opposite.
opposite who want to probably beat the living snot out of each other the entire time.
Yeah, exactly.
I think one of the things that helps the Superman Spider-Man work out so well is that Cap and Spider-Man have worked out so well in the comics. Um, and I feel like Superman kind of plays the same role that Cap does when he's with Spider-Man. Um,
Somebody has to
because
play the straight man.
Spider-Man is obviously still very like hope, positive kind of guy, but not quite as old as Cap and doesn't have quite as much experience and things like that. Is still kind of a
There's
younger
that mentorship that you can have with that. Yeah.
Um, but I think I felt like this was kind of different in a lot of ways to the Batman Deadpool, where um, it felt like a lot of different stories with like just a lot of kind of random characters, which this had a couple of those.
Hey,
Like,
Silver Slurpee, technical note real quick. Just got a report from an audience member that you are not audible at the moment.
oh, that's a problem.
Uh-oh.
Um,
Sorry, folks. Slight technical difficulties that Silver Slurpee is going to be trying to resolve here.
This is the pilot,
hello.
folks. Give us a break.
Hold on, I'm
Oh yeah,
testing.
you're not coming through at all, dude.
Um, uh,
There we go.
it's on their end because I can hear all three of us.
There is some
Okay,
feedback
yeah,
there
I
that I
just
heard.
heard you through
Yeah,
there.
that's because
Yeah, so I think it should be.
I was just
Oh,
playing the
God.
stream and I heard all three of us. So
All right. So my apologies, audience member,
Sorry.
whoever's having issues. Hopefully it's resolved. If not, unfortunately, it's a technical issue on your end. Um, because we just did a quick test and we're able, it's coming through properly on other devices.
well,
Sorry, concerned
when we
citizen.
go to stream it on YouTube or when we go to post it on YouTube, and if it all sucks, um, you know, we'll figure it out for next week. But um, anyways, in regards to this, I felt like the Batman Deadpool was just kind of throwing a lot of random characters together. This involved a lot of characters from Spider-Man's world and Superman's world teaming up. Um, so that was kind of fun, and it wasn't necessarily just kind of a mishmash of random like Green Arrow and someone else, and like the Batman Deadpool just kind of felt a little more random. This one kind of felt like it was Spider-Man and Superman's universes kind of combining for all their stories.
I beg to differ, sir. I love Green Arrow and Daredevil, written by Kevin Smith. That was my
That
second
was cool.
favorite. I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah,
So,
not a knock. It was just a little different
to each his own.
That's a
between the two.
pairing that works super well because they both have that like folk hero archetype going on.
Yeah,
And so that's a
right?
pairing that works really well for that reason. Because
The
once
non.
again, I mean, those are two very different people, but they both are very focused in Daredevil worries about Hell's Kitchen, and that's about it. He is basically street level. And Green Arrow, yeah, he shows up in a whole lot of stuff, but kind of similarly, he's a very street level hero.
And economically, like you said, they're completely different, but
That's true.
non-powered heroes coming together. I really enjoy that. Right? It's hard to pair a street level non-powered hero with a galactic like Green Lantern type hero. So I really enjoyed it, and I was glad that too. I was a Kevin Smith fan, not his movies, but everything else. I was glad that he was able to come into the fold and throw something in there.
Speaking of Daredevil, I feel like we'll get into that in a second, but
Segway.
new season
Segway.
out, and so far it's pretty awesome. Um, Before we get into that though, real quick, Skinny Nerd, what comics have you been reading? Obviously, we just spent a lot of time on Superman, Spider-Man, but what else have you been reading lately?
So I've been, as the video I popped up kind of showed, I've been kind of working my way through some horror stuff lately. Picked up a couple more trade paperbacks of Something is Killing the Children, which also has I almost regret not picking it up. It has a really nice reprint they did of issue 1 with a really awesome cover. And then
This is
what's
recent,
up?
right? This is a recent series?
It's a pretty recent series. They're on, I think, book 9 of the trade. So it's been going on for a little bit.
It's been
But
going for, I think, 2 or 3 years now, maybe 3.
Oh,
yeah,
gosh.
the trades
All
for
right.
this these are not super thick trades. They're good, but they're not super thick.
Sure.
That's been awesome. Yeah, like I mentioned, if you're into like the kind of modern horror where the kind of assumption is everyone is competent, it's really good. You don't have it's not a situation of people completely ignore everything around them. Like, gonna go into brief synopsis of the first part of it. Quite literally, the entire problem is that there's a small town, something is there killing the kids, and the police are not idiots. They look around, they realize this is not actually an animal attack. That's what we're saying because we don't have a better answer. But it's very clear this is not an animal attack. So you don't have the issue of the police are just complete morons, which makes for a more compelling story when things really start to get real. So that's been an awesome series. And I'm continuing on with The Thing at the Doorstep, which, if you like spooky cover art, this series is really fun for that. It's Lovecraft very heavily, so if you're interested in Lovecraft, you'll definitely have, I think, a pretty good time with it. I'm only on issue 2, so we're going to have to see how it develops because it's moving slow, like a Lovecraft story does.
What is Lovecraft?
H.P. Lovecraft, horror author from the early 20th century. His big famous thing he's really popular for is Cthulhu.
Okay.
Everything surrounding Cthulhu is Lovecraft.
Okay.
For the record, dude was a bit of a mess mentally. It's probably how he came up with all the crazy, horrific stuff he did. But, like, to put it to you this way, the dude actually managed to write a compelling horror story about air conditioning because he was terrified of air conditioning.
All right, talk to the people in Phoenix about that.
It's pretty interesting because, like, with Something is Killing the Children, that's James Tinian, who has really shifted almost entirely, it seems, to horror-related stuff. And I think he was with DC for a little while. I don't remember who all he worked on. I feel like he worked on Batman for a brief stint. But I feel like he was more so involved with DC, and then kind of once he got his foot in the door, jumped ship and is now almost entirely horror.
And what publisher is putting this out? Both books.
So Something's Killing the it's Image and Top Cow doing The Thing on the Doorstep. I'm gonna be honest. It's Boom. Boom Studios is doing Something is Killing the Children.
Yeah, and that's and I don't know if it was there yet, but it's kind of like how with Jeff Johns stuff with Ghost Machine is like almost like a shell company, I guess, within Image Comics. I don't know how all the contract stuff works with that, but he has since started
DC and Vertigo, like a sub deal.
Yeah, so
okay.
he's now started his own thing. It's called Tiny Onion, I believe. kind of makes sense with James Tinian. Um, but that has been awesome. I did read the first issue of Lobo, and just the other day, and that was freaking awesome. I don't know if you picked that up, Spencer, or Mustache Man.
Oh, buddy. Good thing we have 0 viewers on this first episode. So no one will see it.
Yeah, we'll blurt it out. Nobody can hear my mic
Edit it out.
anyways.
Edit it out. No one can hear that. Sorry, concerned citizen. I haven't read it yet. I'm a little bit behind. I read the ones that I prioritized, obviously, and I have 3 or 4 to still read. Batwoman, I still have to read. Cyclops #2, I haven't read, and then there's 1 or 2 others. And I'll be honest, Lobo's fun. He's not my favorite. I understand why people really like him, and I'm excited for Jason Momoa's portrayal of him. But I'm not a fan of the art, and I know that I can't draw any. I know I can't draw anything close to what this guy's drawing. It just takes me out of it, and I can't do it.
That's is that Scotty Young?
So I don't think Scotty Young's the artist, but Scotty Young is writing it, and I also just can't stand Scotty Young art.
Okay,
and but people love him, and I just can't do it.
They do?
I can't do Scotty Young art, but people love him, and that's a personal problem. I don't think it's everyone else's problem. So
I've read some Lobo stuff before, and I really feel like he works better playing off of another character than in any sort of solo run. I've never read a solo run of Lobo that I find interesting, and I think it's a problem with the character itself.
Kind of like Deadpool, right? He does good interacting with other people and bouncing off. From everything I've read about Lobo,
difference, because I feel like, being real here, Lobo is Deadpool with I don't want to say it that way. Lobo just doesn't have, I feel like, the same depth of character in general. Or at least he never seems to be written with that. If you would go into Deadpool solo runs, a huge focus is on the fact that Deadpool absolutely despises himself and constantly self-sabotages.
So both does Lobo, is it written with self-narration like Deadpool is written? Or previous iterations historically?
Not so much in that same kind of way.
Because that helps a lot.
Yeah, no. I mean, Lobo's just mostly says everything out loud. The second it hits his mind. This new Lobo run, I think, is going to be pretty damn fun. I will agree. I'm not crazy about the art. It's not my favorite. But I think the story so far seems pretty cool, and they're essentially putting Lobo on a intergalactic reality TV show. Because they're like this mega gadrillion, whatever they called it, company that owns like all of like intergalactic TV. Bought out all of the bounty companies and like bounty hunter businesses, so they own all of it now. And Lobo gets his contract canceled essentially, and he's like, well, what do I do? And they're like, well, go to this new place because that's who's in charge of it now. And then they tell him, they're like, cool, you're going to be our next big reality TV star. And so yeah, I think it's going to be a lot of fun. It'll be exciting. Hopefully, we'll get to see some other cool DC characters that he has to possibly go and catch. Superman and Wonder Woman have already been mentioned. Lobo appreciates Wonder Woman's lack of pants, which was pretty funny, and he just made fun of Superman. Shocker. But it was a lot of fun. So
fun. Have you read the other 2 Next Level books, Batwoman and it's not Deadpool, but
Deathstroke?
Deathstroke, yeah.
I have not, but I kind of figured you had read Deathstroke.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I really do. It was a lot of fun. the only other time I've read Deathstroke was with Rebirth, and I can talk about Rebirth in the era that it was with their 2.99 books. Come on,
Fantastic.
come back, yeah, come back, Jim Lee, give us $2.99 books, and I'll buy 50 of them every single week.
It would have made this a lot cheaper.
Yeah, 100%. But yeah, so that's the last time I read Deathstroke, and I've always loved Deathstroke, like I mentioned in previous videos in other media. He's been out there and he's been awesome. But this book was a lot of fun. It was a really good start. I'm excited for where it is going to end up going. I haven't read Batwoman just yet, but I've heard a lot of good things, and I've heard a lot of good things about all three. But there's also a few other next levels that haven't been released yet. I think they're doing Firestorm. Jonah Hex, I'm really excited about.
Yeah.
No one ever talks about Jonah Hex. The movie was terrible. But I love the Western stuff.
And Zatanna's
Along
getting
with
one, right?
Zatanna's getting one.
Stoked for that.
Yeah, and there's a lot of Zatanna right now too with Absolute Wonder Woman. I mean, she's in that now, and then she's going to get her own separate series with that. But it's not Absolute Zatanna, obviously.
She seems to be doing really well as a character. I feel like over the last year or so, DC's been pushing Zatanna a lot more, and not because they're pushing it. I think because the fans want more of her, which is kind of cool to see. So hopefully, she can continue to kick ass and kind of get some more spotlight and some more comics of her own. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Hopefully, I'm not going to get egg on my face saying this and having missed something, but you know who I'd love to see make a comeback is John Constantine.
Nice. Yes.
I don't think he is really in much of anything right now. I'm assuming he'll probably be heavily involved in Zatanna.
He had one of the last really, really good animated DC movies with the Justice League, all the Justice League Dark stuff and Justice League Apocalypse War.
Yeah.
Gnarly too.
Oh, it was gnarly as all get out, but it was a really good movie.
How many of those were there in that like series, right? Like 3 or 4?
I mean, if you want to go through the whole list, that was meant to cap off like I think close to a dozen DC animated movies as like because the
Flashpoint
a little bit of a spoiler, I guess.
Kind of in the middle of all that, and then everything before Flashpoint is technically all part of that kind of run.
Correct. And then like the ending of Apocalypse War is Flash basically doing another time reset. Essentially, and the idea of being undoing everything that happened post Flashpoint.
I believe Justice League War was essentially the start of that whole run. At least Justice League movie wise, and they battled Darkseid in that, and that was, I think, the start of it. So probably like 6 or more movies, I think, involved in all of that.
Well, yeah, because
also had the Justice League versus Titans,
all the Batman stuff. Mm-hmm.
I really hope they can replicate that era of DC animated films. That was just such a great time to be alive. And in the last 5, 6, 7 years, it just hasn't been the same. And I know you guys feel the same exact way, especially at con on Saturday night or Friday nights. Just not the same.
Yeah, I think that run of movies was really good. Obviously, Flashpoint Paradox, I think, is one of the best ever. And then even prior to that group of movies, was also awesome.
Clarify, we're talking about the animated Flashpoint Paradox, not the disaster that was the live attempt at it.
I would not. But even prior to that, I think when obviously Bruce Timm was a lot more involved, and those were a lot of fun too. Like all those movies weren't necessarily cohesive, but it was a lot of fun, and I think they just picked some of the best comic stories to do movies off of, and it was awesome.
And who cares if they're cohesive, right? Like just do the storylines that people like, whether they be remakes or whether they be new, you know?
Especially in the animated sense. I like just do the cool comic storylines.
Yeah.
unfortunately, I don't think we're going to go that route, especially with the way things are going, which I think is kind of a good thing. Kind of sucks for what we're talking about, but I think they will include anything animated probably into the James Gunn DC universe.
Can I go on a tangent real quick?
Go for it.
Huge fan of Batman: The Caped Crusader on Amazon, which Bruce Timm executively produced along with oh gosh,
Paul
the
Dini?
director. Yeah, well, I think Paul Dini. No, actually, I don't think Paul
No,
Dini.
it's the same guy that
The
worked on the live action.
Matt, yeah, I think it's Matt, and I feel
Reeves?
so silly. Matt
Reeves?
Reeves.
Thank you.
Yeah, Matt Reeves, and yeah, I mean, what a combination.
Yeah, Matt Reeves.
Yeah. Okay, the Batman. Yeah,
Thank
and
you,
I
Jamie.
was at the panel. I was at the panel for that. Thanks, Jamie. You can go away now. Just kidding. I was at the panel, and I think you guys were too, or at least Silver Slurpee was, for Batman: The Caped
Yeah, I'm there.
Crusader in 2023, maybe.
Yeah.
And they showed us the first episode. It was just so much fun, and all the other episodes were fantastic. And I was just, it felt like I was back seeing Batman the animated series, and that's what I grew up on, and that's what we all grew up on. And it was
I
just
love
a
the
real
fact that they
awesome.
weren't scared to do something different with a lot of the characters.
And they were a little different, right? Like episode one, Penguin is different.
Yeah.
Harley Quinn's a little bit different later, and a few other things. But gosh, it was great. It was
I think
fantastic.
that shows, though, if you pick the right core pieces of a character, you can change a lot about them and still have them recognizable. Like Penguin was
the
still
core.
recognizable. The second she showed up on screen, you were like, "That's Penguin," and the way she did, you were like, "This is exactly what Penguin is." You did. It doesn't. Turns out Penguin doesn't have to be this short, round dude to be Penguin.
And she was worse than Penguin has ever been, from what I've seen. Like, she threw her son into a suitcase and then dropped him in the ocean. Insane.
Absolutely savage.
It was a lot of fun to watch.
And Batman didn't have his shark repellent, so it was a problem. I think I loved the series. I thought it was awesome. I will say, like, not comparing the two. I did like the villains. I do kind of like the original villains more, but I think it still worked great, like you guys were saying. And I think, obviously, when you stick to the core of Batman, it's still going to be awesome. And the animation and art style was really cool. Batman was super, super cool. Was that Jensen Ackles who did the voice in that?
No, it's a new guy, and his name is I think his first name is Hamish, and I can't remember his. What do you got, Jamie? His first name is Hamish.
Hamish Linklater.
Hamish Linklater, not related to David Linklater. And I thought that at the panel. And I wasn't a fan just looking at him, but he did the voice. No, seriously, like this guy's bad.
Okay. That can't be Batman.
Kevin Conroy's dead. Bring his corpse out. We want to hear it. All right, I am the Knight. But when he did his voice in front of everyone, he was man. Especially seeing that when it was animated, it was like, this is the world's greatest detective. And I thought that was the highlight of the show too. And I imagine you guys feel the same way. The detective aspect of that show
was awesome.
Was so much different compared to what we get from the DC animated universe and what we've gotten really since Bruce Timm and Paul Dini's run on Batman the animated series.
Really well done. It kind of had like a noir style to it.
Noir, really right? Like 20s
really cool.
noir, I loved it.
Well, that was the thing I feel like they really recaptured from the Batman animated series, is that they were able to kind of bring back that noir feel to it with the art style and the color choice. It felt like it was obviously, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, tech-wise, they didn't go like super far back into the past with what the technology was, but with how they handled things, it almost felt like it was like a 20s show.
It felt like it wasn't a copy, but it felt like it felt different, but it felt like similar to Batman the Animated Series. So
Felt like it was
yes.
in the same world, right?
yeah,
Same world, just different people.
exactly. Also, in regards to voice actors, my favorite Batman voice actor outside of Kevin Conroy is Bruce Greenwood, and I feel like my man does not get enough love as the voice of Batman. In Batman Under the Red Hood, so well done. Obviously, the movie's amazing, but I think Bruce Greenwood is a great Batman, and that's my favorite Batman voice.
For the concerned citizens and viewers, Bruce Greenwood, if you don't know who he is, and I know this is such a bad example, he's the president in National Treasure 2, Book of Secrets. So if you can imagine that guy, that's who Bruce Greenwood is.
He's also the scientist in Eight Below.
Oh my god.
I thought that's what you were going to say. But the President in National Treasure is also a good one. I just watched those movies again, and I love the National Treasure movies. Outstanding, and I can't wait for the third one.
I watch them 5 times a year, like just every single time.
Apparently, the third one is in the works, and it's coming along well, from what I've heard.
Yeah, wrap it up, Jerry.
I was just talking about like quality movies today with our father, and one of the ones we were talking about was Atlantis with Leonard Nimoy, because we were talking about voice actors and actors and celebrities who had passed, and now we're bringing up freaking National Treasure. What a jump in movie quality that is.
Nick Cage.
It's
It
quality
doesn't
film.
get better. Greatest actor of all time.
It doesn't get better.
That's
Correct.
a joke.
He's a Coppola.
All right. Speaking of movies, we did bring it up earlier. Skinny Nerd has not yet watched it, but I know the Mustache Man has. Daredevil Season 2, Daredevil Born Again Season 2, Episode 1. What are your thoughts?
I think it was so I can be a contrarian dick and, make a mess of things. I'll just be totally contrarian and just disagree with everything because I haven't seen it.
I'm a proponent of the Anti-Vigilante Task Force. Wilson Fisk did nothing wrong, right? Skinny Nerd?
Exactly, yeah, it's great.
I think it was a really good start, and it was funny because I had a really bad day at work, and I was telling my wife, I was like, hey, I'm going to watch Daredevil Season 2, Episode 1, and that's going to be it. So if you don't want to talk to me, I'm going to watch the show. And we watched it in complete silence for 45 minutes. And then at the very end scene, which I imagine we'll talk about it at another moment, she was scrolling her phone, watching, whatever she was doing on her phone. I was like, all right. So Daredevil's doing this, and this guy came in here, and then he killed this guy. And I think the last 5 minutes was a ton of fun, and we can talk about it later. But I think it was a really good start to the season, and I really enjoyed Season 1, despite me thinking that it wasn't as good as anything Daredevil was on Netflix. I was a really big fan of Netflix Daredevil, and I've been watching it since the day it came out. Same with Jessica Jones and Luke Cage, and like everybody, I didn't watch Iron Fist because why would I? Everything I saw about Iron Fist was the Defenders.
I did watch it, and I can't get that time back.
Yeah, we can't get that time back, but it's okay. Also, I do
feel like the order you mentioned it in is the exact order, and it just like progressively gets worse. It goes Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, Iron Fist, and it's in that order. And I think most everyone would agree. Some people might flip Luke Cage and Jessica Jones, but I think Jessica Jones is so well done.
But there's
Iron
still
Fist was bad enough
good.
That it got me. It was one of the things that compelled me to finally cancel my Netflix account.
Sorry, Finn Jones. Stick to Game of Thrones. I really enjoyed it. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. There's a lot of storylines going on, and it's kind of hard to keep it all together, especially since I haven't rewatched Season 1 since it came out, which also props to them for doing a back-to-back annual series, doing a 2025 series and a 2026 series. The only other show that I'm aware of that's done that is The Pit on HBO. Everyone seems to think that... What's that?
He said fantastic show. I've been watching that.
Oh, Skinny Nerd. Let's talk about this later on our medical drama podcast. Huge fan. But yeah, it seems like every production studio thinks that they need to have 4 or 5 years between every single season. and that's just not, these shows are showing that that's not the norm, or it shouldn't be the norm, and that it's actually possible to do a show and a series every single year. So I really appreciate that about them. Really enjoyed this episode. So
I do think it depends on the studio in question,
sure.
because when you have Marvel money to throw around, it does help you shorten a lot of deadlines.
And HBO money, like the Pit, right?
Yeah. So I don't fault smaller studios for needing more time, because also, there are people working on that stuff, and we should let them see their kids every once in a while.
Scheduling conflicts, let them see their kids. Yeah, all the stuff, right? Let them go to jury duty.
I do think one of the most impressive things about the Daredevil show is just its longevity that it's had. Like, superhero TV show wise, I don't know of any other live action stuff that has performed as well for as long. Because I think it had did it have 3 seasons on Netflix?
I think it had 4, and I'd love for Jamie to see when it came out, because I feel like
so now 2. So we're on season 6 essentially.
Season 6 essentially, plus the Defenders, right? And
Yeah.
I think that was 1 season.
So that's impressive.
But gosh, I feel like it came
2015 to 2018.
Okay, all right. So 11 years. And that's twice as long, 3 times as long as the normal show. I know it's backed by a major studio, but still.
Figure on that count, though, keep in mind there was a pretty significant gap between the last season and that. Sure. Yeah. So I feel like they're kind of cheating on how we're counting how long and running it is.
Still, though, even with that, I can't think of any other live-action superhero TV show that has gone on for as long and has been quite as successful.
Besides Smallville and Arrow, right? That's it.
The Arrowverse, but even then, I think even like the fans of the Arrowverse, I think they did a lot for what they had. Like, being on a CW show, I don't think anyone really could have made it any more than what it was. Obviously, they didn't have the budget like Daredevil does and things like that. So I think props to them for working with what they had. But even then, I still think Daredevil has easily been the most successful. I do have a question, though, because I was thinking about this while I was watching it today. Do you think you might be getting burnt out a little bit on Kingpin, or do you want to see some new villains? Because I feel like it's been Kingpin now for almost, I don't know, even if he wasn't the main villain, he's been in like almost every season now, at least as like an underlying villain, whether Daredevil knew it yet or not. I don't know. I feel like Kingpin's been around for a while, and I'm curious if people will start to get burnt out on him as the sole villain of Daredevil.
He's been the sole villain on Daredevil for 6 seasons, right? Like Skinny Nerd said. And then we have the Hand, right, as a supplemental secondary villain.
Yep.
And then we have Elektra, right, in some like quasi in the Netflix series, as some quasi villain based on certain conflict, and Stick and whoever else, Punisher, right?
Yeah. True.
But yeah, no, I don't disagree. But it's what sells, right?
True.
Punisher sells. People enjoy it, and it's easy because they're familiar with Punisher.
Yep.
I don't think they're familiar with a lot of Punisher, they're familiar with Wilson with Kingpin, but they're not familiar with their Daredevil villains as much as him. So it makes sense on why they want to put him in there.
I would like to see. I think after this season, though, I would like to see a new villain. Whether he goes, I don't know, who knows? Maybe he'll go into the big box office movie route. A Daredevil movie would be pretty sick.
He's a huge actor, I mean, he's been a big actor for a long time, so I get that they're putting their money behind him.
So I think after this season, I'm not burnt out yet. I'm not saying I am, but I think I would be ready for I don't know, a change up in the Daredevil world for who he's dealing with would be kind of interesting.
Are we going to talk about the Spider-Man trailer at any point today, or can I bring up what I'd like to bring up right now?
Please, go for it. I I think it looks outstanding. I think it looks absolutely amazing. I am super excited about that, and seeing Punisher in there is awesome.
Hmm.
Tons of fun. I love how Spidey, we see him just shut him right up, puts a web over his mouth, which I'm sure Frank Castle just absolutely loved. I'm sure he's boiling on the inside. So I can't wait to see more of their
And
interactions because they're going to be hilarious and I think way different from Daredevil and Punisher.
and I think this
Yeah,
is going to be the
definitely.
barometer for what Disney does with Deadpool when he ends up coming in. I know they
Uh-huh.
had Deadpool and Wolverine, which is a lot of fun. And was it R rated? Deadpool and Wolverine was rated R?
Oh, dude,
Oh yeah, yeah.
100%.
Okay. All right. I'm over the age of 17, so it doesn't matter to me anymore, and I don't care
So
or pay attention.
I I have some folks I interact with who have kids, and I had a mom of a few kids who was not 100% aware of what that movie was going to be like when she brought her kids to a superhero movie.
How many
The
angry emails do you think that Marvel got, right?
Probably
the
just as many as
opening
the first two
scene,
Deadpool movies.
yeah, the
They're
opening
used to
scene
it.
of Deadpool killing people with their own body parts to the soundtrack of the Backstreet Boys, or Backstreet Boys
Outstanding.
or NSYNC, one of the two. Outstanding scene, but definitely informed her that she may not be watching the movie that she thought she should be.
Yeah, and shame on those parents for not looking it up. How dare they just go in blindly, right? Do some
May have
research.
been a slight mistake on her part.
But I do think this is going to be the barometer for what they do with Deadpool. I know it's not an R-rated movie. Everything that
Hmm.
Marvel's ever going to do when everyone's together, Avengers, Doomsday, Secret Wars, whatever, it's all going to be PG-13, and it's never going to be anything other than that. So I'm interested to see if he can portray Frank Castle the way that we love Frank Castle to be portrayed without being neutered by Disney restrictions. So we'll see.
I think it's actually easier to actually pull it off with Deadpool, believe it or not.
Okay.
Reason being, I don't know if you've ever seen it. There was, I think it was Ultimate Spider-Man. It was an animated show they did where it's set with Spider-Man basically while he's still in high school being trained by Shield, and they actually had an episode with Deadpool in it in a kids show on the Disney Channel, and they made it work really well because here's the big advantage with Deadpool: he's aware of the fact that he is in a show. You can make him aware of the fact he's in a
I was gonna
show,
say he
and so
can.
he
Cool.
can operate on the fact that he can crack jokes about the fact that he's not allowed to say kill. He says he has to say unalive people because it's nicer,
I
and
like
all
that.
kinds of stuff like that. You can actually you can make the fact that he can't get away with stuff because of the rating part of the gag with Deadpool.
He
I
can make fun
really
of Mickey
like that.
Mouse for stepping on him and that kind of thing. Like I think I totally agree that he can he can make jokes in different ways that'll still be funny, at least to the more adult viewers. And I
Mm-hmm.
think most of your adult viewers, at least in those children shows and movies and things like that, can kind of understand it. Punisher, I do feel like might be a little more tricky.
I mean, so I do think that what that says though is if they can pull this off with Punisher, Deadpool's going to be a cakewalk.
For sure. And I will say, like, I mean, Punisher was in the X Men '97 series quite a bit, or the original back in '97, or back in the '90s. He was
It's
in
great how you have to clarify that now, isn't it?
several episodes of that, and I mean, he was great in that too. So I think they'll be able to make it work. I'm very excited to see the addition of like the Punishers, the Daredevils, and stuff start to join the rest of the MCU. I think it'll be so much fun.
Do we think that Sadie Sink is playing Jean Grey?
That's what I've read
That's
like
what the
six.
streets are saying.
I read
The
an
streets,
article
the
that say
streets
it's
are queen.
confirmed, and then an hour later, I see an article that says it's not confirmed, but they're very sure. So I
I
think she could be Jean Grey. I'm interested to see that, or I'm kind of shocked to see, I guess, it's that Jean Grey is gonna essentially make her debut in a Spider-Man movie. I think that's a little interesting. If it
The
is
only
Jean
thing
Grey.
that makes me feel comfortable in that is after the trailer was released, seeing Peter's mutation, right, into Man Spider or
Yep.
whatever it ends up being. And that can be the bridge of mutants, right? Of mutation.
Very
And
true.
then, right, that's the only thing that makes me feel a little bit more comfortable. But without that movie and without that trailer, we haven't had that integration between the X-Men in Marvel or Disney Marvel since this point. So
Yeah, I didn't even
you
think
know,
about that. That totally would line up to kind of connect the mutants possibly
yeah,
with them.
and
Yeah, I would love to see more done with the X-Men. Like some of the early stuff that they did with this most recent run of X-Men, like First Class and things like that, was great. And then I feel like it kind of fell off near the end there. I mean, Dark Phoenix was
what's
not
Apocalypse,
great.
right? Apocalypse on
Yeah, kind of.
Apocalypse and Dark Phoenix.
Yep.
It went to hell in a handbasket.
And I do love Sadie Sink as an actress, and I'm excited to see her like outside of Stranger Things in another major project, and I think she'll kill it. She's so far like she's shown to be a great actress, and I'm super stoked for that.
Yeah, I saw something and they were like, why didn't they put Sadie Sink in the first trailer? Which I get, you want to hide certain storylines and whatever else.
Hmm.
But she's gonna sell tickets and she's gonna sell tickets to different demos that would normally not see this movie potentially because of her popularity in Stranger Things. So they're gonna put her in at some point in time and the ticket sales are gonna drastically increase. I guarantee it.
Yeah, there were. I think when everyone found out that she was in the movie, everyone instantly was like, "Oh, Mary Jane." And then I think after the trailer came out, everyone was like, I don't see them bringing in Mary Jane because
Yeah.
other MJ. It seems like they're still kind of pursuing that relationship or trying to rekindle their friendship. Also
Yeah,
with
I agree.
Another fun trailer that dropped. I'm a huge literature nerd. I was really happy to see Dune Part 3 trailer and what it looks like they're going to try and do with that. I
It's
have,
just Zendaya fest those 2 days, right?
well, I
I mean,
think
to a
I
degree.
think she's in like six between shows and movies. She's in like 6 or 7 different projects this year,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
insane. I
Um,
don't know how she did all that.
I'm both like happy and sad with what I saw from that trailer. I don't want to spoil too much because it is an upcoming movie, but if you're familiar with Dune as a book series, I'm happy that we're going to be seeing it what it looks like. It looks like they're going to show like flash forwards of all the way forward to God Emperor of Dune. But the director has come out and said that he doesn't want to take the movies that far, which makes me super sad because once again, if you're familiar with the story of Dune, you kind of got to get to God Emperor of Dune for everything else to really kind of tie together.
So does
So I'm
he
like,
only want to take it to the third
he's
movie?
basically, he doesn't, it doesn't sound like he's interested in taking it past the third movie.
The
It
movies
looks
are
like,
also 4 hours long, so maybe there's a, a
like I
lot
said,
to be
I
said.
understand certain aspects of this, but listen, if you're a fan of the Dune movies, please read the books. Read the books all the way to God Emperor. I'm not gonna lie, they are thick books. There's a reason why these movies have to be 4 hours long. There's a reason why after 2 movies, they've only actually adapted like the first book.
Well, and there's
And
a
God
TV
Emperor
show.
is book 4.
Can you enlighten me on the TV show on HBO if you're familiar with it and how
That
that fits into the story?
that, if my memory is correct, that fits in as a prequel, if my memory is correct.
Before number
Um,
one.
yeah, it's not. I'm gonna be honest. Dune is weird because similar to a lot of other series, the author unfortunately passed before he like completed everything, and so there's a lot of supplemental stuff that's written by other people that isn't that great. So
It's just
I don't trust anything from Dune that isn't done by Frank Herbert West himself.
It's going to be like George R. R. Martin, where he's going to pass before things are written, but he had 30 years to do it and just decided not to, or took his time.
There's a bit of a difference here. In Frank's case, it wasn't his fault. He just passed away. George R. R. Martin is making a conscious choice at this point to not ever finish that.
I think he finally said, I think recently he said that he doesn't want to finish it. Because I was like 4 months ago or something like that. I think he's come out and said he's not finishing it.
Listen, there's a reason why I never got into that series. There's a reason why I never picked up that series of books, and I probably never will.
Can I bring something up real quick that I think is hilarious and kind of adjacent to the conversation?
Yeah.
We were in Hall H at San Diego Comic-Con in 2021 or 2022. Hall H, baby.
We live in 2022.
And they had a panel for House of the Dragon. It was season 1. And this was in July, and it probably came out 2 weeks later in July, if I'm certain. And George R. R. Martin was there, and he had never made a public appearance at the con for such a long time, and it was COVID, and he was wearing a mask, and he said that he had isolated at his ranch in New Mexico for, 2 years or however long it was. And so everyone was really, excited to see him. And he was there without a mask on the panel and was talking to everyone. And then it came out that he got COVID like 6 days later right after he came to con. And I was just like, oh, buddy. I was like, you should have stayed there. But we were so excited to see you in person. It was a lot of fun alongside Matt Smith. And
literally same year that I got COVID too, and the exact same event. I was at Comic-Con, and that's how I got COVID for the first time.
He was so good for so long, and he just wanted to show up for the fans, and then he gets screwed. I felt bad,
exactly.
But we were all happy to see him.
I will say, and I'm really hoping San Diego Comic-Con, and it just feels like movie and TV in general has picked up a lot more, and they've kind of recovered from the writer strike stuff, COVID, all of that. So I feel like San Diego Comic-Con, probably New York Comic-Con, I would imagine, are probably both going to have some much crazier announcements and things like that returning, which would be a lot of fun.
Well, let's briefly talk about the hiatus, right? So we had 2020, right? Con doesn't happen. Mm-hmm. 2021, con doesn't happen again. 2022, masks are required in industries.
And a lot of stuff was limited.
A lot of stuff is limited, right? And people don't want to show up to a crowded event, which is understandable. Yep. 2022, there was the writer's strike, right? And then I feel like 2023 was the first official true con that was true to its roots and whatever else in terms of participation from studios and publishers in like 5 years, 4 or 5 years.
We had like almost 3 years of movie and TV studios hardly being able to make, content, whether it's shows or movies. And the stuff that they did make, it was obviously very limited. So I think it's kind of exciting that a lot of that is returning.
Absolutely.
Speaking of returning, this year I think is going to be nuts. We got everything from Invincible. That's been incredible. I've watched The Boys, Daredevil, Supergirl. Her movie's coming out. We've got Spider-Man. We've
Doomsday.
Also got what's that?
Doomsday.
Exactly.
Doomsday, right? It's going to be a freaking day. It's like Barbenheimer all over again.
And
Darth Maul.
Yeah, the new Darth Maul animated, which looks incredible. Like Dave Filoni and the animated crew over there just can't do any wrong. And then
all my tabletop nerds, we got another season of Vox Machina coming at the end of the year as well.
That's true. And
Mandalorian and Grogu.
Oh, very true. That looks awesome.
That's in May. Yeah.
I'm excited. And
no one cares about Baby Yoda anymore.
And the ever controversial Green Lantern teaser trailer.
Sure.
Yeah.
I totally agree with people's frustrations. It just feels like it's going to be them in plain clothes, like detectives in a desert, for like 7 episodes, and then on episode 8 or whatever, they're gonna be like, all right, let's suit up. So I really hope it's not that. I know it's a teaser trailer. It's short, and it could be a great show. I really hope it is. We haven't seen much of it, but I will say if you're going to put out a teaser trailer that's supposed to build hype, put out a good teaser trailer.
I will put up with no costume for like 1 episode, and then I'm gonna get real salty real fast.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
I
really
think the
hoping that
direct.
what they did is this entire teaser has just been shots from the first episode, and that's why it is the way it is.
And that's very typical. Is the teaser trailers and even the full trailers are only shots from the first and maybe the second episodes, but it really just depends on the show. And like you said, Silver Slurpee. Um, I think the director said that he wanted to do True Detective from HBO, but have it be like intergalactic, right? And
Yeah.
have Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart just be intergalactic True Detectives, which if you're in the suits, that would be super cool. But everything that we've seen isn't that. And everyone's mad about the brown suits, which I get,
Yeah.
right? There's no color, there's no green. The original creator of Green Lantern, I think, was upset about that. Correct me if I'm
Well,
wrong on who that ended up being.
hopefully we also end up in space a little bit.
Yeah,
I would like to be in space. Like, come on, the Green Lanterns, they're literally space cops going around to different planets and stuff. And the whole Lantern Corps as a whole, I would love to see some characters involved with that. I think the mentioning of like Hal like acting like he doesn't really talk to them, whether that's true or not, I really hope it's not true, because I would really hate to see them limit the Lantern Corps to essentially like the 3 humans that we have right now. And then plus, I mean, everything from the Sinestro Corps, the Red Lanterns, the Black Lanterns. There's so many great characters in the Lantern Corps universe that would be
and
so
every
awesome to see. And I think it makes sense that it's in a TV series. So,
Dude, you
and
didn't
everyone's
even
been
mention like Goat, the only Orange Lantern, Larfleeze.
yeah,
Guy who's the entire Lantern Corps on his own.
yeah, it would be awesome. I would love to see so many of the different lantern groups. But we are gonna wrap it up here, and we will be back on next week. Um,
Yep.
Same time on Wednesday. Thanks for hanging out with us, the Mustache Man, Skinny Nerd, and Silver Slurpee, and we will see you all next time.
same bat
Peace.
sound, same bat channel. Thanks, guys.